So after the redo a healer moment last week, which I was completely being honest about and was not the most devious clickbait, let's see what they do, because human girl, unless that little lizard thing really likes her, this could be a violent murder. I still think it's a really clever design, having all the wolves' minds link as one singular consciousness, similar to like the Geth in Mass Effect. What do we do with this? Ew. Either it's crying because it's dead, or a slime was coming out of its fucking eye socket. So that's the natural evolution of Plague Dragon then. The fucking demonic poison snake. Imagine he looks like an ugly bastard again. But even worse. I think he goes Dark Drago if he wants the practicality of being more blended into human society. Oh, so the more she teaches us specific words, the better we'll understand her. So the whole time I've been worried, I was like, hey, is this... I kept saying this whole show, since he's been seemingly manipulated, what if there was something that's controlling his body like an alien using a human host? Seemingly that's what's happening, not only just for Dawes, but the wolves as well. Big boy ain't playing. Seismic tossed his ass. That's gotta be the scariest shit. You're just like some random ass farmer or something. You look over and a giant dragon's marching towards your place. So as we all know, the Reincarnated as a Dragon Hatchling anime is essentially Redo of Healer Season 2, aka what if Redo of Healer took the kitty gloves off and went in raw. But seriously though, the whole episode I'm waiting for that little black lizard to like see that my boy's carrying a female on his back, because if she was getting that jealous over some monkeys, I mean, it's reasonable to assume that little lizard was planning to rip her head to toe. But the actual threat of the episode, it tied back to the rock dragon, which we haven't seen since the second episode, which we ended up running away from because we couldn't defeat it. It's interesting how it's all kind of tying back together and no real loose ends or presents. I feel like in a way, by the time we leave season 1 of this, it's actually going to feel like a pretty complete season that has like a lot of possibilities going forward. But given that we can now understand the girl in terms of her human speech now, sure, we can't communicate with her just yet, but it feels like they're really tying up loose ends. And I think rather than introducing an apocalypse level threat this episode, which is kind of what the rock dragon represents, given that it is planning to march and destroy an entire village, because the douchebag Dawes here, who is seemingly being manipulated, I think he is 100% dead, but a slime is inside him and is using his body as a catalyst, a host sort of a thing, stole the dragon egg and is luring it. It's a very clever episode, but while is it actually Redo of Healer level brutality? Of course not, but you bozos need something to click on this video. But I do think it does represent a genuine threat of like, okay, they actually have a pretty competent isekai here. I fuck with this show heavy, and kind of sad it's not a 2-core, I gotta be real. But you know what to do though. If you got this far in the video, make sure you drop a like, share your support, subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't already, and Patreon, you can catch my full live reactions to all this and more, which does help fund the channel and videos just like these. So if you enjoy my work, want to help out, we do appreciate the support a lot over there. So thank you so much if you do consider. So we are ready to evolve again, and he had 4 options this week. And one of them is like being presented as this like holy bird, this like, I forget what it is, light dragon, whatever. I guarantee you it's not what he envisions it as. He says like there's nothing Plague Dragon oriented. I disagree. So one of the 4 options he has is a giant snake that leaves behind poisonous death. To me, that's the natural evolution if you wanted to keep on going for the Plague Dragon, but that's just me. There was another form which is essentially just roll. It goes for speed over power, and so yeah, it does just kind of feel like it would be extra rolling abilities. To be honest, in terms of practical survivability, probably the second best. And the reason I say second best, I do think that giant death snake would probably be the objective correct one if you're just trying to be the most powerful thing in the world. Now, what do I think he's going to go for? Probably this thing. It's a demi-human. Who knows what he's going to end up with? Probably going to be something like that. I am interested though, because the ending song, you would assume, gives it away, right? Because of how it looks in the ending song. So I assume it has to be the demi-human looking thing. Well, I just hope that if he does evolve, he does it in front of her so she knows again, because we got lucky that she saw similarities in his first form to this one. if he comes out looking like Martian Manhunter or something, who knows, right? Like, we need to make sure, like, maybe it won't matter if we can talk, but how naive can she really be? To be honest, probably quite naive. The one thing I really like, though, is we are now up to episode 8 of this show, and he can finally understand human speech. I feel like in a lot of these shows, by the end of the second or third episode, this would have already been established, especially for a world, because we have to remember, the way the mechanics of this world work is that whenever you do something, you gain experience. So if you were to punch a tree, you'd probably get a skill of some sort of defense because you punched something that hurt your hand. If you spend 10 days talking with squirrels, you're probably going to have the nature communicator skills, stuff like that. So naturally interacting with humans, eventually you're probably going to understand them. Doesn't mean you can naturally talk to them because probably the way the vocal cords in this body are, demi-human probably would allow him. But the fact that she started teaching him about specific words, she's like, this is my name, or this is the water, right? The fact that that's how he learned it, and sure, had he not had to separate himself from her in the first couple of episodes, the village didn't jump him, and he was able to stay with her as she recovered, most likely we would have had this skill much sooner. But I do appreciate the fact that it took 2/3 of the first season to get to this point, because it forced him to be the fish out of water, had to adjust and interact with monkeys and lizards and all different sorts of wildlife rather than what he wanted to interact with the whole time. And I think in doing so, it also does get him more connected to the nature side of the show rather than just straight up, I just want to live with the humans. I do still think he does want to live with the humans, but I think what he's built with, like, the cave system and his, you know, he is now the king of the monkeys, there's a lot of interesting possibilities with how they'll go about it, but the pacing and the evolution of his skill sets feels a lot more natural than you would expect. It feels a lot less rushed to get to a specific destination, which is, I want to marry the human girl because, you know, deep down, that's all I give a fuck about. Rather, we actually have a pretty fun, and I think the best way I can describe it is similar to the way I describe shows like Hell Mode. It does feel like playing a video game. Now, this show feels more like playing a classical RPG. Hell Mode is more of a JRPG, and then you would say, like, Easygoing Territory Defense is more of a tower defense city simulator kind of show. You throw Shangri-La Frontier into this season 2, you have basically every type of anime you need in terms of that game feeling dynamic. I do think the reveal of what Bro is up to was very good. To be honest, I thought what he was carrying for a large point of this dynamic was actually the thing controlling all of these wolves and shit, because when we defeat the wolves, there was like that slime coming out of it, and seemingly that same slime is what's controlling it. It's just, it feels like, given that, my assumption anyway, we know these wolves are essentially a singular consciousness, so like similar to the Geth from Mass Effect, like I said last week, I do wonder if the slime is in these as well, does it also get those abilities, which in return allows them to be a collective hive mind? I'm not exactly sure, but it's a pretty cool dynamic nonetheless. But this show's good. I think it's a fairly great show, to be honest. I think that's where I'm landing on with this. It's a pretty great show. Sometimes the 3D can be noticeable, but not in an ugly way, just more of a, okay, yeah, you can really tell it's 3D now, but at least the movements are good and it's blended in better than most. Is it blended in as good as Hell Mode? No, but I still think if your average 3D in anime looked like a show like this, you would have a lot less bitching and moaning, if I'm being honest. But great episode. Redo of Healer, you don't need season 2, you got this instead. Truly the most disgusting, disturbing show, am I right? Let me know your thoughts down below, though. Drop a like, share, support, subscribing, that bell, and Patreon. Can't catch the full live reactions over there. And hey, if you're already over there, I'll give you a video shout out because my patrons, you won't get these YouTube videos at all. Alright, so today we got Yuki Ali, Zythrin, Rogue Knight, Pranay Sumshwar, Darian Smith, and we also have Raj Vermalen. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. You have a good one.